Bitcoin is approaching $50,000 again. And which way are we going to go once we hit it? Guys, welcome to Empire Trading Academy. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and let's get into this. Guys, first and foremost, I want to show you this screenshot of a Glassnode metric, okay? This is on-chain data. We're looking at supply shock ratios, okay? This metric and this custom metric that is done, this is from Will Clemente. It's amazing work. What we're looking at here is supply squeeze. Okay, now what's a supply squeeze? It's basically when certain metrics come into play and you just have such a reduction in the supply of whatever asset you're looking at. In this case, it's Bitcoin. You have such a reduction in the supply that there's a sudden shock and realization that, wow, there is no more Bitcoin in the market. I need to get some right now. And so these are usually this is what happens before we have a major run up. So here, and in this case, this supply squeeze that we're looking at is coming from long-term holders. Okay, so long-term holders during this accumulation phase, right? Since this drop off, long-term holders, traders or investors holding for longer than 155 days, have just been accumulating. They've just been accumulating during this entire time. And so what happens when long-term holders are accumulating, they're gathering up a bigger percentage of the supply. Okay, and these long-term holders, long-term, they're less likely to sell. And so that creates this supply squeeze. So we've come up into this green area. Okay, and every time, in this case, long-term holders, every time long-term holders have a certain percentage of the supply up in this area, we can see in the price action in gray, this is what creates the bottom or the floor of our price action. Okay, we had this back in 2015. We come into this area and we create a floor in our price action, and we just went up from there. Okay, again here after 2017 bull run, right? Come back down, and once we have this last sell-off, right, this is our bottom, we come up into this green area again because long-term holders are accumulating. Okay, and again here, and here, this is another floor. Okay, before we start this most recent bull run. Now, this run has been very, very different, most similar to 2013, which we don't see here, but most similar as we have this mid-cycle accumulation. Now, this has gone on longer than 2013, but so this is becoming a little bit different now. However, we just came up into this supply squeeze area, okay? And what consistently has been creating a floor, okay? So this metric is showing that, you know, we are going to see upside from here. If we look at the stock to flow model is showing that we are only, let's say, price-wise halfway through, but if we're looking at time-wise, we're getting close to the end, okay? But we shouldn't be we're not where we should be, and we should be more toward $75,000 right now, okay? But we're getting up into the zone, creating a floor, creating a support, which is seeming to indicate upside from 50,000. Okay. All right, guys. Now, a few other metrics I want to show. So let's look at exchanges now. We looked at long-term holders. This is going to be looking at exchanges. We're looking at total net position. Total net position we have in the red. This is coming off of exchanges. Green going on to exchanges. Price action we have back here in the white line. And again, guys, coins coming off of exchanges at an increasing rate. The people are not looking to sell. And if we look back to the long-term holder chart, that's exactly what is confirming that as well, right? This is coming off of exchanges, not looking to sell. This is still very, very bullish, right? And then if we look at total exchange balances, okay, it's continuing to drop overall, right? So now we're looking at just above 13%, 13.2% of the total Bitcoin supply is on exchanges, right? What's the only way to sell Bitcoin? By putting them onto exchanges. Okay, so this is huge. Reduction on exchanges. And again, these metrics seem to indicate something more of a pre-bull run metric. If we zoom out a little bit, we go to 2 years, we're not now at a 2-year low. If we go back even further, say 3 years, right? 3-year low. And this, guys, this is very much pre-bull run levels. Okay, if coins are not going on to exchanges, they cannot be sold. All right, so on-chain again showing very bullish indication. Now, a couple things we need to look at on the charts. Okay, this is the Bitcoin chart. We're looking at the hourly right now. Okay, this was our last test of support at 29,000. Okay, before we saw this nice upside, right? Which, if you've been following us for any time, we predicted that this was going to happen. On-chain, extremely bullish. We knew that we were not breaking at here. Every time the liquidity was getting sucked up every single time we came down into this $31,000 to $29,000 zone, right? And everyone was realizing that, and so we started to get whales accumulating during this time. Okay, and that's when we had that final bounce, and then we saw upside. Now, remember Wyckoff. Okay, we've had Wyckoff a few different times. Okay, so that manipulation is happening in multiple spots and in various times during this entire market. So the first that we're going to look at is the Wyckoff distribution. For those of you who are unfamiliar, we have Wyckoff here. Okay, this is an accumulation phase here. The different accumulation phase, and this is just a way that Wyckoff determined, hey, big smart money is pushing markets around. When you have a very immature market like crypto, they're going to take advantage. Okay, so we have accumulation that we just saw, and this is distribution. Okay, so we have schematic 1 and schematic 2. If you look at this schematic, okay, we have a markup, okay, and a slight pullback before we get near the top. We have our first top, okay, we have some range, some accumulation. We have a second top that's slightly higher. We have some pullback, some accumulation, and a third top that is higher there. And then after that third test, we have that sell-off. Sometimes we get that last point of supply, right? We basically, it's like a relief rally, and then we fall off the backside into a markdown. Okay, so take a look at this. If you have to pause it, rewind to compare, this was the distribution schematic. Okay, distribution is for a top and selling off. Now let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, look at what we had up between 60 and 64,000. Perfect Wyckoff distribution first schematic. Okay, we have that initial run up, that pullback, then we had that first peak, slightly higher peak, and then our highest peak. First peak, slightly higher peak, and then our final highest third peak. Okay, followed by our sell-off. With that last point of supply coming in, this can look different depending on the market. Okay, and we had that last point of supply here before that markdown. Okay, very, very clear Wyckoff distribution pattern into the markdown, and then we had fell into an accumulation phase. Okay, into this consolidation between 40,000 and 30,000. Right now. Not a coincidence. This is again another Wyckoff schematic. Okay, we go here, we go back up to our accumulation phase, and our accumulation phase is here. Okay, this is a little bit of a mix between schematic 1 and schematic 2, but it's mostly here. Okay, we have our markdown from our distribution. Okay, and we come into our selling climax. Okay, we have a couple peaks. Then we have our sell-off into our secondary test. Okay, go go into our third peak, a long trace down of selling, right, into our spring. This spring is going to be our squeeze. It's basically breaking below our final support that we've established in this range so far. Squeeze below, squeeze out any shorts and stop losses before our move to the upside, followed by pullback, further upside, consolidation, and a mark up. Okay, and if you look at this, again, rewind if you have to compare, and we look at this accumulation phase from here over to here. Okay, we had that mark down. We have a couple peaks, right? We've established our support, and we had that long trace down to our squeeze. If we want to look at this support was really made about here. Okay, we had that initial sell-off creating this support, trace down, tested the support area multiple times. Okay, here continue to sell off. We have our squeeze before we have our run up. Okay, very clear Wyckoff accumulation into our markup here. Okay, now this is what we need to be careful of right now, because this actually didn't have too much of a markup. Okay, and this almost went right into what could be another distribution. Okay, it's amazing how many Wyckoff schematics are in this run. I've never seen anything like it. Okay, so here we are again. Remember the distribution that we had at the top. Very, very, very similar. Okay, we have this initial run up with a pullback, initial run up with a pullback, followed by our 1, 2, 3 peaks successively higher. 1, 2, 3 peaks successively higher. We had this pullback after that third peak, pullback after that third peak, some accumulation before a bounce up higher. Accumulation before bouncing up higher, and this is when we got that sell-off. Okay, now it looks like this is what is transpiring again. Okay, a little bit higher, about 50,000 most likely, before we see a further sell-off. Okay, that Wyckoff distribution also coincides with Elliott wave theory. Okay, where we can have our 5 waves up and a 3 count corrective wave down, which is selling down here, a retest of 50,000 before selling off to what is most likely going to be 40,000. Okay, now on chain, this is one of the few times where on chain data and TA is now at a crossroads. Okay, because these things are looking like that they are bearish indications. We did just get our golden cross, our 50-day moving to the upside of our 200-day moving A. Traditional markets, as extremely bullish signal. Okay, so that did just happen. So during this phase, guys, one other thing I want to point out is that, you know, Wyckoffs happen, schematics happen all the time, because we had, even within this overall distribution, we have this Wyckoff accumulation right here. Okay? We have that sell-off, have some range, peak, retest of this, selling down. We have a squeeze below our local support before a run up. Okay, we have this. Remember, this is short term, so we have one pullback in here, right? And now we're accumulating up here, which is exactly what this is looking like. Okay, accumulation range before we're looking at our selling climax, our automatic rally, our secondary test, right, and our spring. We have all that here. And again, this is that squeeze. Everybody thinks we're going lower. They open up shorts. They put our stop losses. People have stop losses right here before we immediately move to the upside. And now we're just consolidating in this range. And now we're just consolidating in this range. Okay. Accumulation seems to have more upside. This also, we've been saying 50,000 would be the test. This would make sense. that we break out to the upside from here, retest that 50. And once we hit that 50, that is going to be the question of what happens next. TA is saying further downside. Okay, we have some indicators that are indicating upside. On chain again is very bullish. And so in my opinion, we could have a short-term pullback, okay, before we make this run higher. Okay, remember what I said about the on-chain data and especially the long-term holders creating that supply squeeze. That supply squeeze with the sudden realization of, hey, I need to get I need to get some Bitcoin right now. Okay, creating that massive upward momentum. That does not mean that we could not have a short-term pullback, right? This area right here can be our floor or our support before we see this massive upside. Because of this big accumulation phase, guys, of what has happened in this run, the longer that this happens, the more apt I am to say that these 4-year cycles they're not 4-year cycles anymore. We're starting to shy away from that. Institutions are coming in and creating stability to the market. So what are we looking for? We want to look for weakness at the 50,000, okay, and looking for sell-off. All right. If we go to the hourly, okay, on this run right here, okay, we're consolidating here as we're moving up. We do have some negative divergence there, and we have some here. Okay, so this consolidation is weakening. However, we are going to see, in my opinion, we should see upside if this is Wyckoff accumulation. This is just a consolidation before moving to the upside. Retest the 50, and then that 50 is our point that we're looking for. We can break that 50 and test up near 52 and hang out here for a little bit. This is extremely bullish. That would match. We would get our golden cross, right? That would solidify that and confirm that we are definitely heading higher, and much higher, continuing this bull run. On chain is bullish, but we need to be careful of this 50,000. One strategy that is possible, guys, that is a very wise strategy, is go ahead and take some of your profits. Take some of your profits, and once we confirm that we're moving above 52, then go ahead and re-enter. Okay, it's much better to go to hold on, capture those profits before we let's say if we were to make a downside move. Okay, so that would lock in that, and we can re-enter when we break above 52. Okay, we have some confirmation that we are moving to the upside. All right, guys, these are something to continue to watch out for in the next week or two. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to message us. Hit the subscribe and the like if you haven't already. And if you have not checked out the website, guys, go check out that website. We give you all the tools on to properly learn how to trade. Okay, we have the one-on-one sessions. Those are blowing up right now. We have the course. An on-chain basics course is going to be launched here soon. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Again, hit that subscribe, hit the like, and we'll see you in the next video.